tons of people are running towards a stadium recklessly. The thing is, there is money in big balloons high above them all. Suddenly the balloons burst, letting a whole bunch of cash out. The general public break into the stadium and rush down to pick up all the banknotes. In a flashback, we see the roulette begins with a roulette table ominously spinning. Now, it turns out that each time it stops, it does so on different names. A man named Chang Jae is being kept in cold storage. In exchange for a cash prize of 1 billion won, Chang Jae's ear needs to be cut off. However, he escapes from cold storage, evading his captor and struggling to get out. The assailant, named Ji Hong, follows him and even tries to persuade him that they will share the money between them. Eventually, it ends with Chang Jae's ear being cut. We then cut across to Police Lieutenant Jung Sik, who was sitting at the police station. He gets a call from the hospital and asks to pay a visit there because there is a patient who seems to be brutally injured by someone. After some time at the hospital, Jung Sik is approached by Park Yoon-jung, an energetic junior police officer who tries to impress our lieutenant. She talks non-stop about the case involving Chang Jae. He's still alive, but his cut ear is obviously a point of contention. Looking over the security footage, they find that Ji Hong dropped him off at the hospital. They also see that Ji Hong is holding Chang Jae's severed ear in his hands. Both Park and Jung Sik find it odd that he didn't hand it over, but we obviously know why. It's part of this roulette game we've been seeing. Meanwhile, we see Jung Sik himself struggling with his personal and professional life. Between half-arising his job and earning a living through whatever money he can get hold of, his family life isn't great either. His partner is at the end of her tether, and with their house up for auction and them on the verge of bankruptcy, she drowns her sorrows in soju and berates him for messing their life up. Also, Jung Sik's credentials don't look good, and he struggles to get a loan too from the banks. He even asks his fellow officers for help, but to no avail. Using his police connections, he takes a peek at a boss who fled the gambling den to find out where he's run off to. But it doesn't seem to work, and he's struggling on all fronts, with payments piling up too. Later, Jung Sik heads over to Ji Hong's place, but there's no sign of him. Also, the ear of Chang Jae is in the glass along with blood. Furthermore, Jung Sik discovers out a suitcase in the wardrobe with a strange sign on the top. He opens it up, but as Ji Hong returns home, seeing someone already inside the house, Ji Hong runs from there. Jung Sik chases after him, desperate for answers, and the chase ends with Ji Hong falling down the stairs and smashing his head on the railing. Unfortunately, he bleeds out there, and after some time, passes out too. As Jung Sik saw that the CCTV there was broken, he made a big decision and phoned the medical personnel to get an ambulance out. Then, he goes back to Ji Hong's house. After some time, all the police reach the crime scene and the house of Ji Hong, where the only eyewitness is Jung Sik. But he claims that he didn't notice anything uncommon at the house. He just did a chase at Ji Hong, who slipped from the stairs and died. Though his colleague finds it a bit weird, he can't doubt Jung Sik without any evidence. After some time, Chang Jae, the man with the ear cut, breaks into Ji-hoon's place. He immediately goes looking for the suitcase, but it's nowhere to be seen. Instead, he snatches up the car keys and rushes off. Now, it turns out Jung Sik actually has the suitcase and he drives in the parking lot where no CCTV is watching him. There, he opens the suitcase again and see that there is money inside. Lots and lots of money. This is precisely what he needs to get out of his predicament, with it totaling about 1 billion won, the prize money from the severed ear. Of course, it's also tampering with evidence at the crime scene, so it's not exactly a great look. Chang Jae, meanwhile, notices that the truck across the road has dashcam footage that could be useful. After taking the car keys and playing the video, he finds Jung Sik carrying the suitcase of money with him before the other police officers came at the scene. The next morning, Jung Sik returns home to his family, a hero, with all this money available for them in the future. It also means that his daughter can keep her cello, which was initially going to be sold. For that reason, Jung Sik's family is very happy with him. At work, Yoon Jung calls Jung Sik and points out that Chang Jae has left the hospital. Jung Sik has a bad feeling about all of this, so he makes sure to hide the suitcase under some clothing in his trunk, just in case. Of course, he's unaware that Chang Jae is actually watching him, waiting for an opportune time to strike. At the police station, the footage of the roulette is obtained, including a masked man wearing the same spiral sigil we've seen on the suitcase. It's also the full video surrounding Chang Jae having his ear cut off. Jung Sik notices this and gets a closer look, realizing how everything is connected. All the police department is gathered there, and they are concerned about the ominous effects of these proceedings in their city. That's why the chief asks everyone to get the masked man as soon as possible. Also, Jung Sik is questioned about the billion won he found at the house of Ji Hong, but he lies, claiming no such money was there. He also reveals that Chang Jae has disappeared from the hospital. A new video has also been posted too, confirming that another 1 billion won will be available on the 15th at 5 p.m. in Hosan NC Park. They have 2 hours to get there. And while many people in the force believe this is a hoax, it doesn't go unnoticed that Jung-sik checks the time first. He also believes they should follow up on this, raising his hand in front of everyone to back the idea of a big operation at the stadium. At the designated time, tons of people are running towards the stadium recklessly. The whole police department is there trying to control the mob. But as soon as the clock hits 5 in the evening, some balloons with the same spiral sign appear in the sky. The thing is, there is money in these big balloons high above them all. The drones fly over the stadium carrying those big balloons full of money and then burst, letting a whole bunch of cash out. It's about 1 billion won, which is being distributed to common people. The people are desperate to get inside the stadium, and they push past the police to get into the stadium. Jung-sik is also there. He is alone for a time, watching all these notes hit the ground, but he's not capturing any notes. The general public breaks into the stadium and rushes down to pick up all the banknotes. It brings up a massive conundrum for the police, who now need to work out what to do from here. The people continue to pour in, and what starts as ecstasy soon turns violent as the people start fighting over the money. In the aftermath of this, numerous people end up at the police station sporting injuries as a result of this crazy riot. In the middle of questioning everyone, there's a video released to the general public by a crazy multi-billionaire. He is wearing a mask and claims that he will give more money to the person who will do the next task. The stadium scene we saw earlier was the testimony that the masked man will pay what he promises while playing this weird game. Everybody accused the masked man of not paying Ji-hong because no money had been found by the police at his house. While we know that the money was indeed paid to Ji-hong, it was already taken by Jung-sik. So now, Spiral implores all of them to stop posting stupid comments and to reach the next round of the game. The roulette table spins, and it lands on the name Guk-ho. He's currently in jail and scheduled to be released in 3 days. In exchange for 20 billion won, the roulette lands on killing Kim Guk-ho. So if Guk-ho is killed by any person out of the public, the killer will get 20 billion won. Even if they're caught, the money will be handed over to the family. But if Guk-ho kills himself, the money will be doubled on the next round. Out of everyone watching, Jung-sik gets close and ponders what is happening in the city. The following day, the chief of the police holds a press conference and tells the public that there will be strict actions against the person who tried to attack Guk-ho. He doesn't want the public to destroy the peace of the city for a game planned by some crazy billionaire. Later, the police briefed us on what to do next, and it seemed like they'd been trying to nail the IP address of the masked guy. However, the IP address keeps moving around, and their efforts have been futile up until this point. The chief calls for urgency and demands they track down Spiral, imploring them to work as hard as possible to nail this guy. Also, the police decided to give full protection to Guk-ho. They will escort him from the prison to his house, saving him from the anger of the public. In a flashback all the way 13 years ago, a kid called Lee Minjin is kidnapped by Guk-ho, drugged in the back of the van, and taken out to a secluded spot under a bridge. However, Minjin ends up dying as a result of all this. Later, Minjin's body is found in the river the next day, while Guk-ho is taken into custody. Due to model behavior, he has 2 years shaved off his 15-year sentence, and he's about to go free. Given his crimes, you can understand the hatred from the general public here. In the present, over at Hosan Prison, we learn that Guk-ho was one of the most docile and agreeable inmates out of everyone. When he is released from prison, detectives are there to protect him. Though they aren't exactly happy about this arrangement, they do their job despite the riotous mob outside. In fact, a few from the crowd immediately blast through the ranks with a knife and try to kill him. The police manage to bundle Guk-ho in the car before it's too late. The van is pelted with eggs. But the hostility from the crowd, along with Guk-ho's crimes, of course, are still very much a talking point in all of this. In the van, Jung-sik describes Guk-ho about the video against him and also talks about the impact of that video on the public. Guk-ho has a statement to read for the press, but when he finds out about the 20 billion won reward for his death, he can't stop laughing. He's incredulous over the whole thing and eventually berates one of the detectives. He points out the Constitution and how he's done his time in prison, and technically, he no longer needs to be tried for his crimes. Upon reaching the front of his house, Guk-ho rips up his jacket to make himself look more beaten up and makes a statement to apologize profusely to all the families for his crimes. He cries too, bowing and dropping to his knees, wailing to the heavens. When he's taken inside, Guk-ho starts devouring sushi and is given the terms of his release, with an ankle monitor for good measure. Seeing this, Guk-ho points out that he should be the one who is watched and protected here. The detective there is quick to point out that this hysteria should die down in a few weeks or months at most. While Guk-ho is kept inside and protected by the police, a press statement is released promising that anyone who interferes or tries to kill Guk Ho will be tried as a terrorist. Then we cut across to Minjin's parents. Minjin was the kid killed by Guk Ho. His parents are a lot older now, with Minjin's father suffering from mental illness and her mum in late-stage liver cancer. They literally have nothing to lose, so Minjin's mum sets out to gain her revenge. She prepares poisoned arrows and sets out of her room. Meanwhile, Guk Ho is trying to leave his house because he wants to buy something from a mart, though the police officers stop him from coming out of the house. Seeing the angered crowd outside, Guk Ho still insists on leaving the house. So, a police officer calls Jung-sik from Guk Ho's place and tells him that Guk Ho is trying to break free from his house and get out. Jung-sik curses his luck and races over to help them. However, Minjin's mum also shows up with her truck. In the meantime, Jung-sik makes a convenience store secure and takes Guk Ho there. Minjin's mum happens to be at the same convenience store where Guk Ho arrives for some snacks. While Guk Ho wanders around trying to fill the empty void in his belly, Minjin's mum unleashes hell with her harpoon gun. She opens the arrows at him but misses by inches. Then she chases him around. But Guk Ho is saved at the last second by the other officers, who take the arrow for him. When Minjin's mum is apprehended and taken out in handcuffs, she tells Guk Ho he deserves to die. However, the detective hit with the poisoned harpoon starts to froth from the mouth, and he has to be taken away in an ambulance. As for Minjin's mother, she doesn't care what happens to her next, despite the officers apologizing for upholding the law. Later in the police station, Minjin's mum is questioned by police, but she doesn't have too much to say beyond asking about the injured officer's well-being. Interestingly, Minjin's father finds a suitcase outside the house with the spiral, on which seems to indicate that there's cash inside. The masked guy is happy with the old lady, who showed some courage and attacked Guk Ho. That's why he has sent 1 billion won for him. The following day, a car shows up outside Guk Ho's house, which happens to be driven by Yeonju's attorney. Yeonju happens to be Guk Ho's wife from before. She is here because Guk Ho refused divorce papers or visitations in prison, and now he gets to actually pass them over to him in person. Guk Ho is not happy and calls out the attorney for his rudeness. It turns out Guk Ho actually has a son, Dong Ha, who no longer looks at him as a father. Guk Ho drowns his sorrows in alcohol, realizing his entire life is falling apart. The following day, a lawyer named Sang Bong comes in front of Guk Ho's house. He sees the mob protesting and then climbs over a wall in front of Guk Ho's house so that Guk Ho can hear his voice clearly. From there, Sang Bong starts shouting that Guk Ho's rights are being violated, and by the law, he can't be restrained inside the house. Sang Bong yells and offers his services for Guk Ho free of cost as he thinks Guk Ho should get justice. In the meantime, the police come there and take Sang Bong down from that wall. But Sang Bong still continues shouting in favor of Guk Ho. He even made a video of the protesters and threatened to sue all in court for violating Guk Ho's personal space. By now, Sang Bong has succeeded in securing the attention of Guk Ho, who sees him from the window of his house. Before the police kick Sang Bong out of that place, Guk Ho asks the police if he wants to meet this lawyer. He asks the police to send Sang Bong to his house. So Jung-sik checks his ID card and then lets Sang Bong go inside the house. Once in the house, Sang Bong makes a deal with Guk Ho in return of helping him procuring his rights by the law. The true intentions of Sang Bong are still hidden, but he successfully convinces Guk Ho by his talks and even makes him sign a contract. After that, he leaves with a victorious smile on his face. Sang Bong was recently scammed by someone and even lost his case during the construction work at his new site. So he is broke and penniless now, but he has promised himself to change his circumstances altogether using the opportunity in the form of Guk Ho. The following morning, Sang Bong goes to meet a politician and asks him to help restart the construction work at his site. The politician agrees to help him, but in return, he also wants a favor. He wants to make his opponent politician leader, Myong-ja, out of the elections. Sang Bong takes some time to think about it and leaves. Back at his apartment, Sang Bong researches Myong-ja, who is supporting the protesters outside the house of Guk Ho to make him exiled from their city due to his crimes. Seeing this, Sang Bong finds an idea in his mind, and he calls the boss and asks him to sign the deal. So, Sang Bong will now use Guk Ho to destroy the reputation of Myong-ja. Now, all the strings are connected with each other, and we see how big players have their interests in Guk Ho's case. That night, Guk Ho has a second meeting with Sang Bong. The criminal tells the lawyer he will trust him if the attorney can get him custody of his son. Guk Ho doesn't want to sign the divorce papers that his wife has already sent him to her attorney in the morning. Sang Bong agrees to this deal and also proposes his plan to help record everything any official says to him. Sang Bong will use that in the favor of Guk Ho. After that, Guk-ho shows a wish to go outside and eat something. So Sang-bong again creates a ruckus outside his house so the cops can let Guk-ho out. Meanwhile, the now grown-up son of Guk-ho is also present in the crowd. He had already made a quick bomb and experimented with it at an abandoned building. As he hates his father, he is there to kill him. So he sent a similar bomb via a package by the delivery guy to the house of Guk-ho, while the son was holding the remote control in his hands among the crowd. When Sang-bong is convincing the police and ICE officers to let Guk-ho go outside, the delivery guy approaches there to deliver the package. In all this fuss, Jung-sik doesn't let the package go inside and keeps it in his car for some time. In the meantime, the son continuously tries to explode the package when it is near Guk-ho, but his remote control fails to work. So he throws the remote control on the ground and takes out a chemical bottle. He runs carrying that chemical with the intention of throwing it at his father, but the police officers stop him. Just then, a spark flares in the remote control and the bomb inside the package present in the car explodes. It injures many people nearby, but Guk-ho remains safe. Now we see the politician Ma Young-ja, who is at the time discussing with her assistant how she can get the attention of the public using the case of Guk-ho. Suddenly, the news came about Ma Young-ja accusing her of fraud in the national funds for the endowment of youth. Soon, she is presented before the prosecutor for investigating the case. However, Myung-ja keeps her clever attitude and claims that she will cooperate with the attorneys in the investigation and also will face all the charges if she is found guilty. The conversation reveals Myung-ja's ambition to be the future president and her intent to use the youth support for her political gain. But back in her car, Myung-ja knows that she is guilty and will have to do something to evade the charges this time. Also, the media have received information from the prosecution about Myung-ja, and public sentiment is turning against her. She tries to talk to her party leader to help her out of the fuss, but he also ignores her, saying that the mess is created by herself and that she should sort out solutions for it. Though the party leader has also been cut from the fraud money, he doesn't fear Myung-ja due to his strong position in the public. Back at her apartment, when Myung-ja is discussing with her assistant what she should do now, she hears the sound of an explosion in the city. It's the same explosion that Guk-ho's son caused earlier, so now she is investigating the matter of Guk-ho and the masked person's video more deeply. Also, she sent her assistant to meet Guk-ho's lawyer. The assistant meets with Guk-ho's representative to negotiate an arrangement that would benefit both parties. She is offering him a lot of money to the lawyer to let her use Guk-ho's case in her favor. Sang-bong discusses the matter with Guk-ho, but he has some other plans in his mind. He is going to double-cross Myung-ja, as he has a deal with the opposition political leader. But Myung-ja doesn't know about this. She puts on makeup to show her kind side to the public and then goes out for a public announcement in front of the Guk-ho house. She claims that she is going to sit on her knees in front of Guk-ho's house until Guk-ho lets her in for a conversation. She pretends that she has intentions to fulfill the demands of the protesters who want to exile Guk-ho from their city. She even sheds some tears to show her originality about the matter. Seeing this move of a politician, the public starts praising her, and the crowd increases to see her kneeling in front of the house of Guk-ho. On the other hand, Myung-ja's assistant is planning to add more fuel to the burning fire. He has hired some actors, including a kid, a mother, and a father. He instructs them that they are a family and will go and show appreciation to Myung-ja for her resilient act. So, by the evening, those actors came to Myung-ja and even gave a bouquet and a handmade drawing as presents. The kid adds an emotional touch to the scene, making the public more convinced to support Myung-ja. After some time, Guk-ho comes out of his house and asks to let Myung-ja come in. It's a success in front of the public for Myung-ja, who gets inside and, instead of being kind to Guk-ho, cares about her knees. There, Guk-ho asks Myung-ja to repeat the deal she is offering for him to move out of the city. So Myung-ja tells him that he will get a lot of money along with a servant and a big house outside the city where he can spend his whole life comfortably. Guk-ho asks what benefit Myung-ja will get out of this offer. So, Myung-ja tells him that she will get the support of the public and that each vote will result in her return on the investment she is making at Guk-ho. She even brags that, as a politician, she will get 10 times the money back that she is giving Guk-ho. After that, Myung-ja came out of the house to announce to the public that she had succeeded in convincing Guk-ho. But Sang-bong follows her outside and lets her listen to the whole conversation that she has just made inside. Guk-ho and Sang-bong have recorded this to blackmail her. So Sang-bong takes Myung-ja again inside to discuss the matter further. She is extremely angry at them, but Sang-bong tells Myung-ja that he has no intention of going viral with the audio, but he wants some more money from Myung-ja. Myung-ja listens to their demands and then leaves demanding some more time to think about it. She keeps her happy mood in front of the public, but deep down she knows that she is ruined now. Back in the car, the assistant advises Myung-ja to kill Guk-ho and his lawyer. But Myung-ja doesn't like the advice as Guk-ho is in the eyes of the public at the time. Meanwhile, at the police station, when the whole staff has gathered to discuss the matter of Guk-ho, a police officer comes there in a hurry and tells that the location of the IP address of the masked man has been found to be in the building in front of them. Everyone goes there to see, but the apartment is empty. The mask which the mysterious man used to wear is still there. Also, the roulette is there in the video we saw earlier. Jung-sik spins the wheel, and it comes out the same killing of Guk-ho in return for 20 billion won. When he again spins the wheel, he is surprised to see that the results are still the same. No matter how many times the wheel is rotated, the results are the same. This means that the killing of Guk-ho was intentional and not a game. In the next scene, we see Jung-sik still watching the video of the masked man again and again to get an idea of his whereabouts. Just then, Park Young-jun comes there and notices the big wheel in the background of the masked man. She says that such wheels are found in churches. So we see Jung-sik arriving at a church next and looking at the headman named Sung Jun-woo, who is giving a speech to the common public. He is very popular among people and has a religious fan following in the whole city. After the speech, Jun-woo drives away, and Jung-sik follows him. Jun-woo arrives at a far-off place in a secret van where Jung-sik goes to meet him and reveals who he is. Jun asks the police officer what he is doing there. Jung-sik replies that he is there to investigate the masked man who is viral these days on TV. But Jun-woo remains calm and composed. It looks like he doesn't know anything about that masked man, and he is highly skilled at manipulating his emotions. So Jung-sik has to go back empty-handed. Next, Jung-sik receives a call from his wife, who tells Jung-sik that their daughter So-mi has not reached home yet. She had gone to the market earlier, but now her phone was switched off, and it was already late for her. On the other hand, we see that So-mi is kidnapped by Chang Jae when she is returning home from the market. When Jung-sik traces the footsteps, he finds the envelope with the goods So-mi went out to get, but there is no sign of So-mi at the time. When Jung-sik returns home, he finds Chang Jae already there. Seeing him, Jung-sik becomes angry and starts hitting him. He knows that Chang Jae has kidnapped his daughter, who now demands his money back to get So-mi free. Chang Jae laughs at Jung-sik's miserable condition and asks him to wait for the next call. The following day, Chang Jae calls Jung-sik again and asks him to check the video he has sent on his phone. When Jung-sik opens the phone, he sees that it's a dashcam video where Jung-sik is recorded carrying the bag full of money from the victim's house. Now Chang Jae wants that money back, but Jung-sik tells him that the money was in the back of his car, which exploded in the bomb blast earlier. He also doesn't have any money to pay Chang Jae now. Listening to this, Chang Jae gets angry as he has his ear cut for the money that Jung-sik let burn down in the explosion. So he asks Jung-sik to bring him Guk-ho so that he can kill him and get the prize money on his head. But that's a difficult task for Jung-sik, so he approaches Park Young-jong and asks her to track the car in which Chang Jae left the hospital earlier. He is trying to get any clue in finding the location of his daughter. However, the truck that Chang Jae left had no traces on the road. In the next scene, we see Bang Sang coming to meet Guk-ho. They plan to get custody of Guk-ho's son, Dong-ha. Meanwhile, Dong-ha is playing violin at an audition on the stage. He is so good at the violin that he gets a scholarship from the judges to study abroad. Dong-ha's mother is very happy with her son's success. In an interview, people ask him about Guk-ho, mentioning that his father is a murderer, and inquire about his thoughts on the matter, but Dong-ha says nothing. Although Dong-ha's present days are good, his previous days have been very difficult for him due to his father's crime. He was often bullied in class by his classmates, who mentioned the heinous act of his father. Once, a girl yelled at the bullies, saving Dong-ha from them. She stated that Dong-ha was different from Guk-ho. However, later that night, those boys tortured that girl for standing up for Dong-ha. But Dong-ha arrived in time there and poured petrol on himself and the bullies, then lit a lighter. Seeing this, all the kids ran away, and he told the girl not to help him next time, and just to ignore him. When Dong-ha returned home, he saw that people had written Guk-ho's son on the house walls. His mother was trying to erase it, but he told her to go inside. Their lives had been very difficult, even though they were both innocents. Back in the present, Dong-ha is at home with his mother. Dong-ha's teacher, who had previously mentioned the violin to him, is also present, along with a girl who has come to promote Dong-ha and wants to take him abroad to become a successful musician. However, Dong-ha refuses the offer, as he does not want to leave his mother alone. He states that if he ever goes abroad, then he will take his mother with him. Meanwhile, Guk-ho's attorney, Sang Bong, comes there to meet Dong-ha's mother. He is there on behalf of Guk-ho. He remembers the days when she found blood on the clothes of Guk-ho and then called the police to tell them that her husband had committed a crime. So, it was his own wife who informed the police and even gave the evidence against her husband. So now Sang-bong says that Guk-ho is going to forget all those memories just in case she lets Dong-ha meet his father often. But Dong-ha's mother doesn't agree with the lawyer and gives him back the custody documents, saying that she is ready to fight in court for her son if Guk-ho wants this. Meanwhile, Dong-ha, inside the house, discovers a knife hidden among his mother's personal items. He has also seen the lawyer talking to his mother outside their house. So, the next morning, we see Dong-ha arriving at his father's place. First, he comes to the side of the house and throws his bag to hang it close to the window of his father's house. Then he approaches the police officer, stating that he is Guk-ho's son and wants to meet his father. Guk-ho also learns about the presence of his father, so he tells the police officer to let Dong-ha in. After that, Dong-ha enters the house and meets Guk-ho, who expresses his happiness at seeing him and asks what he wants to do. Dong-ha replies that he wants to drink alcohol with his father, to which Guk-ho happily agrees, and also agrees to the best wine bottle. Dong-ha then asks if he can go to his father's room and look at it once. Guk-ho agrees, and Dong-ha goes to his room, looking at the bag he had thrown towards the window earlier. He tries to get it because it contains a knife, and Dong-ha still hates his father a lot and wants to kill him. In the meantime, Dong-ha's mother, Yoon-ju, arrives home and finds a letter written by Dong-ha. In the letter, Dong-ha wrote that they had been facing hardships all their life due to his father, and now it was time for the father to pay the price. After reading it, Yeonju realizes what Dong-ha is planning, so she rushes toward Guk-ho's place. Back to the house, we then see Dong-ha going downstairs with Guk-ho. Then, they drink alcohol together, but Dong-ha takes advantage of the situation and stabs his father once with the knife. However, he then hesitates to do it again. Instead, Guk-ho hits him back. At the same time, Yeonju arrives there and first looks at her son, then grabs the knife and stabs Guk-ho again. Later, she comes outside the house with blood on her face and hands. She tells the police that she killed Guk-ho. The story shifts back to the politician Myung-ja, who was recorded by Guk-ho and his lawyer. So she is still worried about what to do as her political career is near its end if she lets things happen according to the will of Sang-bong and Guk-ho. That's why she decides to give a try to the advice of her assistant. In the meantime, a man named Mr. Smile arrives in Korea from abroad. He is a long-range sniper and hitman who kills people in exchange for money. Now he is given the task to abduct Guk-ho and his lawyer Sang-bong. Obviously, we know that the hire of Mr. Smile is Myung-ja's assistant. So Mr. Smile looks at Guk-ho's photo, and the assistant sends the location of where Guk-ho is. After that, Mr. Smile plans how he will abduct Guk-ho from his house. He wanders in the streets to examine the area. He will first render Guk-ho unconscious, and then approach him with a wire to bring him back, adding that the task seems very simple. On the day of the execution of the plan, Mr. Smile gets into Guk-ho's house through the wire, but once inside, he sees that Guk-ho is already injured and unconscious. He then realizes that a girl has already stabbed Guk-ho, so he calls Myung-ja's assistant and tells him that the target is already dead. When the assistant tells the news to Myung-ja, she becomes angry at him and throws the phone on the wall furiously. In another scene, we see Jung-sik, who is still investigating the whereabouts of his daughter. Just then, he receives a call from Park Young-jung, who says that she has tracked Chang Jae's phone to a particular location. But before Jung-sik leaves for that place, he is stopped by the police chief who wants to take Jung-sik with him to someplace. So Jung-sik calls Park Young-jung and tells her that his daughter has been kidnapped by Chang Jae and that he can't go there or tell anyone because if he does, they'll kill her. So he asks Young-jung to go there. Park Young-jung agrees and arrives at the location after a few minutes. Meanwhile, Guk-ho is seen in the hospital, still alive even after the brutal multiple stab wounds from the hands of his wife. Sang-bong comes to meet Guk-ho with a sarcastic smile on his face. He knows that Yeon-ju would have to go to prison for her crime, and Guk-ho could get custody of Dong-ha. Meanwhile, Young-jong has reached to the location of Chang Jae's mobile. It's an abandoned place situated deep in the forest. There she finds So-mi in a room and is about to rescue her, but then Chang Jae arrives there from the backside and hits her on the head, causing her to fall on the ground. Back at the hospital, Jung-sik receives a call from Chang Jae through the phone of Young-jong. Shocked by the surprise, Jung-sik asks how Chang Jae has the phone, and Chang Jae reminds him that he had warned not to tell the police. He now threatens him to cut off his daughter's fingers if he did such a thing again. Jung-sik pleads with him not to do that, and also promises that he will get Guk-ho for him soon. In another scene, Sang-bong is at his construction site, where construction has already started again. So he calls the politician to thank him for this favor. When Sang-bong comes back home, Mr. Smile approaches him and points a gun at him. Then he takes him to the hospital to take Guk-ho with them. Sang-bong complies with him and tells the room of Guk-ho in the hospital. Later, Mr. Smile changes his clothes and enters the hospital with a big smile on his face. In the meantime, Jung-sik is seen approaching a security guard outside the room of Guk-ho. He suggests the guard that he has been watching Guk-ho for a long time, so he should go and take a break for eat. Then, Jung-sik switches places with the guards and enter the room of Guk-ho. Inside, he knocks Guk-ho unconscious and restrains him with the handcuffs around his hands. Just then, Mr. Smile is seen fitting a bomb with smoke outside the Guk-ho room. He then enters the room and sees that Jung-sik is already taking Guk-ho somewhere. So he first fights with Jung-sik and knocks him down. Then he takes Guk-ho away, putting him on his shoulder. No one saw him because the emergency alarm was already going off, and smoke was everywhere. He successfully takes Guk-ho in his car away. However, the police car follows him, but it doesn't help as Mr. Smile drops off some tire bursters on the road. After some time, the police try to track the car through CCTV footage. They find out that the car is present on the outskirts of the city, so Jung-sik goes there with one of his colleagues. However, upon reaching there, they find out that the car is empty. Jung-sik catches a fighting scene from a long distance and starts driving towards it alone. On the other hand, Mr. Smile has brought Guk-ho to a location where Sang-bong is already present. Right then, Myung-ja and her assistant came. Myung-ja thanked Mr. Smile for his amazing work and handed over the bag full of money. Sang-bong starts by saying that he has evidence against Myung-ja and that he can ruin her life within days. But Mr. Smile takes out his gun and shoots right in the head of Sang-bong within a second. Seeing this, Guk-ho takes out a needle from his body and starts trying to open the lock of his handcuffs with it. When Mr. Smile is about to kill Guk-ho, Myung-ja stops him and takes his gun, saying that she will kill him with her own hands. She comes close to Guk-ho and points the gun straight at his head. However, instead of killing Guk-ho, Myung-ja shoots at Smile and makes him fall to the ground. She wants to leave none of her traces behind. Then she pushes Guk-ho and makes him fall to the ground. She asks her assistant to kill Guk-ho as she wants to include him in this crime too. But before the assistant could fire a bullet, Mr. Smile comes back to his senses. He is still alive and now kills the assistant with just one shot in the head. He then points the gun at Guk-ho and Myung. Taking the opportunity, bows down and escapes from there. By that time, Guk-ho has also freed his hands, so he attacks back at Mr. Smile, making both of them land outside the house through the window. The two continue to fight, with Smile repeatedly hitting Guk-ho. Both of their hands are bound together with the handcuffs. During the fight, Guk-ho succeeds in getting a gun, and he takes the opportunity to kill Mr. Smile there. After that, he takes a car parked nearby and tries to flee from there. But due to his injuries, he is in a terrible state, so he crashes into a tree. On the other hand, Myung-ja has also succeeded in evading the dire situation and saving her life. The following morning, the forensic team reached the crime scene where the dead bodies of Sang-bong and Mr. Smile were lying. Myung-ja had escaped, and Guk-ho was captured later by the security guards. The media is pressing the police for answers, but the police chief is avoiding the situation as he has nothing to say yet. Right then, Chang Jae is shown calling Jung-sik and threatening to kill his daughter if Guk-ho is not brought to him. Jung-sik responds by asking Chang Jae not to harm her and promises to bring Guk-ho to him soon. In the meantime, Jung-sik, along with two other police officers, went to a place where they were informed about Guk-ho's location. They are joined by two security guards who brought Guk-ho last night inside. However, Guk-ho is unconscious, and Jung-sik takes advantage of the situation. He goes out to check that an ambulance is parked outside with the keys in it. He comes back, pointing a gun at his colleagues, and even shoots a bullet at one of them at a place where he would not be hurt much. Then he ties both of them to the door and escapes, taking unconscious Guk-ho with him on the stretcher. He puts Guk-ho into the ambulance and sees that the security guards are waiting for him with their guns. But Jung-sik is smarter than them. He dodges them somehow and drives the ambulance out of that place. After that, Chang Jae receives a call from Jung-sik, who states that he is bringing Guk-ho, so Chang Jae needs to send the location. Chang Jae becomes very happy listening to this. Though Chang Jae has killed Park Yung-jong and burnt her clothes, he has been very good with So-mi. He even brings her something to eat, but So-mi refuses to eat anything. Meanwhile, the police department is angry at Jung-sik for betraying them. They continuously try to approach him, but Jung-sik doesn't pick up their call. At night, Chang Jae asks Jung-sik to come to the end of the tunnel. He follows Jung-sik, telling him to enter the tunnel, where Jung-sik later stops his car in the middle and inquires about his daughter first. Chang Jae points towards a vehicle saying that his daughter is in the car ahead. Jung-sik approaches Guk-ho and places a tracker on him. Seeing Jung-sik delaying going towards his daughter, Chang-jae asks why he isn't going to his daughter, who is injured, prompting Jung-sik to rush to the car. After reaching there, he opens the trunk but finds it empty. Also, he has left the ambulance behind, which Chang-jae now drives away. Jung-sik wants to follow him, but finds out that the oil tank is empty of the car that Chang-jae has left for him. Seeing this, Jung-sik gets angry and calls Chang-jae, confused about his daughter's whereabouts. However, Chang-jae assures him that once his work is complete, and his daughter will reach his house soon. Then Chang-jae brings Guk-ho to a place where Guk-ho pretends to remain unconscious. Jung-sik is following the location of the tracker he had placed on the body of Guk-ho. He gets the car from someone on the road by force and starts driving towards the location. In the meantime, Chang-jae takes a snapshot of him and then grabs a weapon, intending to kill him. But Guk-ho, who was faking his unconsciousness, takes the weapon first and attacks Chang-jae, killing him. Right then, Jung-sik calls at the phone of Chang-jae, which Guk-ho answers, who has come to know that Chang-jae has kidnapped Jung-sik's daughter. Now he is going to find her. Jung-sik begs Guk-ho not to harm his daughter, revealing that he freed him to protect her. Guk-ho, however, ends the call. So Mi, who is present there, becomes frightened seeing Guk-ho's face. He opens the door and comes inside the room where So-mi is present. Just when Guk-ho bows down to talk to So-mi, she stabs him in the neck and tries to flee from that place. This infuriates Guk-ho even more, and he begins chasing the girl. He makes her fall to the ground. Luckily, Jung-sik arrived at So-mi's location on time. He is pointing a gun at Guk-ho, but Guk-ho grabs So-mi, telling Jung-sik to drop his gun, which Jung-sik reluctantly does. After that, Guk-ho charges Jung-sik, who throws him away but ends up hurting himself in the process. Jung-sik then rushes to So-mi, but Guk-ho strikes him on the head and runs away. When Guk-ho tries to escape from the scene, he is confronted by Sung Jun-woo. It becomes clear that Jun-woo is the masked man who organized the whole game of roulette and made people kill Guk-ho. But when everyone fails, he himself comes to do the job. In another scene, Jung-sik is shown at a hospital. As soon as he comes back to his senses, he starts searching for his daughter madly, and then he is reassured that his daughter is safe. He tries to meet her, but the doctor informs him that his daughter has injuries and requires some lab results before they can comment further. Also, the doctor advises doing a gynecological examination to see the injuries of So-mi. Hearing all this, Jung-sik gets angry and wants to go after Guk-ho for revenge, but his colleague stops him from leaving the hospital. So, Jung-sik devises a plan. He gets the lighter from the guard and activates the fire alarm using that lighter, this causing water to spray everywhere and creates a fuss in the hospital. Jung-sik uses the opportunity to leave from there, disguising under the white coat of a doctor. Outside, he finds an ambulance and leaves in it. The police officers watching the security cameras track the ambulance as it escapes. In the following scene, Dong-ha is seen heading abroad, but he discovers that his father is still alive. So, he tells his teacher that he will not leave and escapes from the airport. Dong-ha is then seen visiting his mother in jail, telling her that he will handle the situation himself, but his mother advises against it. She doesn't want him to indulge in any violent activities, but Dong-ha leaves without listening to her. He is walking on the street when a car comes and takes Dong-ha. Jun-woo is inside the car and takes Dong-ha to his house. There, he questions Dong-ha whether he can meet his father. Before Dong-ha can answer him, the scene shifts to the past. A flashback reveals Jun-woo as a kid in the court, where a priest had committed a crime. The mother of Jun-woo used to stay at the church for most of her time, and that priest had raped her in the church. However, the priest received a light sentence of 2 years and 6 months. From the facial expressions of the priest, it could be seen that he does not have any resentment toward his deeds. Later, Jun-woo discusses with a police officer whether this punishment is sufficient for the priest, expressing his thoughts on how that priest's life would improve at that time. However, the police officer doesn't give him any answer, knowing that Jun-woo's suspicions are right. When he returns home with the police officer, he finds out that his mother is on the ground, paralyzed, in the priest's room. Jun-woo then takes a statue and hits the priest, although the police officer comes from behind and stops him from committing the crime. Later, Jun-woo learns of his mother's death. As the priest is taken to jail, Jun-woo attacks him with a small knife, but it doesn't hurt him a bit. In the present, Jun-woo reflects on scenes related to Guk-ho, and it is revealed that Jun-woo is actually the masked man. He made a person cut the ear of Chang-jae because Chang-jae earlier burnt a lady alive in a house by sprinkling petrol on her. Later, Jun-woo is seen in the church, giving a speech and helping a man outside, who turns out to be the priest who wronged his mother. The priest tries to slide down the stairs to end his life, But Junwoo stops him from doing this and tells him that he can't escape his past sins without making amends. After the evening, the priest is taken to a place and injected with something that causes him pain and also keeps him in a half-dead situation, sitting in a wheelchair all the time. Back to the scene where we left earlier, Junwoo tells Dong-ha that the priest harmed his mother, but he didn't kill him because the true revenge is making the person live in fear and shame. Dong-ha, however, expresses that he wants everything to end, meaning that he wants to kill his father so he and his family can live peacefully. The next scene shows Jung-sik arriving with a car, trying to use the tracker he placed with Guk-ho, and entering a room where Guk-ho was lying earlier. However, Guk-ho is not present at the moment, and the tracker is present on the floor. Also, Jung-sik finds out the peculiar spiral symbol of the masked man on the wall. Meanwhile, Junwoo is with Guk-ho, telling him to see what his son wants and whether he will be able to kill him. After that, Junwoo takes Dong-ha to the church to meet his father. Guk-ho is bound with a chair there. There, Junwoo encourages Dong-ha to kill his father, giving him an injection. He tells him that it will cause immense pain and kill him in 5 minutes. Also, Junwoo sends a photo of Guk-ho online, which causes the people to come to the church to kill Guk-ho. In the next scene, everyone finds out where Guk-ho is, and they arm themselves. Junwoo tells Dong-ha that he has limited time as people are on their way. Saying this, Junwoo leaves, and Dong-ha prepares to inject his father. Seeing this, Guk-ho apologizes for his sins and claims that he is ready to get any punishment. But Dong-ha still remembers the hardships his mother bore due to Guk-ho. He wants revenge now, but still, he is unable to kill his own father with that injection. Taking the opportunity, Guk-ho attacks his son, overpowering him in no time. But Junwoo arrives there soon and saves Dong-ha from his father's tyranny. Dong-ha also attacks his father again with a pointed object. He is going to kill him this time, but Jung-sik comes there and urges Dong-ha not to become like his father. He tries to calm Dong-ha down and takes the weapon from him. Then he heads towards Junwoo to arrest him, as he is the masked man who created all this fuss. But they are interrupted as many people arrive to kill Guk-ho. Jung-sik tries to prevent them from entering, but they don't listen. He tries to warn them by firing in the air, but when he sees that people are still not listening, he opens fire at the people too, specifically on the legs. In the meantime, Guk-ho recovers and grabs Dong-ha, threatening Jung-sik that he will inject his own son. Jung-sik tries to stop him, but Guk-ho is not going to leave his son. He wants to escape from that place, but Jung-sik shoots Guk-ho, killing him on the spot. Dong-ha is finally saved. Soon, the police arrive, but Jung-sik notices Junwoo is not present. He has already left. In another scene, the chief talks with the police about not knowing who is behind everything, noting that even Junwoo doesn't know much. Although Junwoo was running the church, it was not his. The man running it is not in their database and uses a fake name. Jung-sik, meanwhile, is at the hospital caring for his daughter, who seems to be in better condition now. Junwoo is later seen leaving a parcel at Jung-sik's house, containing documents related to 20 billion won and a key. Months later, Jung-sik is seen in his car, checking a map with several marked locations. He spots a place and looks at the key given by Junwoo. In the meantime, we see Mr. Smile still alive and arrive at a hideout of the masked man. He questions someone about the masked man's whereabouts, but he claims ignorance and is killed. After that, Jung-sik arrives there and surveys the surroundings, finding many dead bodies. He approaches a laptop that prompts him to press a button. Right then, Mr. Smile appears on the screen, addressing Jung-sik. He reveals that a client wants him dead. He warns Jung-sik to stop his pursuit of the masked man, threatening to kill him if he doesn't.